The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, appears ready to negotiate another key Russian demand in peace talks, like Ukraine's neutrality. But Zelensky is looking for guarantees Russia will not seize Ukrainian territory or threaten Ukraine's security. Turkey will be hosting talks this week as warnings grow about the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. In this video, Valentina, a 70-year-old lifelong resident of Mariupol, breaking down when she sees what is left of her home. Her apartment really encapsulates the destruction right across the city. Mariupol's mayor is now appealing for a total evacuation. He says about 160,000 people are still trapped there and need to get to safety. Before the Russian invasion last month, more than 400,000 people lived in Mariupol. Some of the tens of thousands of civilians who have escaped now make their way to Lviv in eastern Ukraine. And that is where Salima Shivji is this morning, leading off our coverage inside a stadium that is now a place where refugees are resettling.
Air raid sirens have stopped now, so everybody was able to leave the shelter and come back into the center where the newly arrived refugees here from some places with very intense fighting are trying to get some supplies, rifling through these boxes, trying to get some clothes for their journey onwards, if indeed they are moving across the border. We're very close to the border with Poland here. There's a medical tent set up as well for people who need medical attention. There's an ambulance outside in case anybody has a more severe condition and needs to go elsewhere to hospital. Also hot meals here for those who are newly arrived. Now, the numbers of people passing through the western city of Lviv, obviously a little bit safer than other parts of the country. The numbers have gone down, but those who are still coming and still arriving here have left some desperate situations behind them. You know, a lot of cities virtually destroyed and streets unrecognizable for a lot of these people. I spoke with one woman who is 9 months pregnant. She's about 1 week from giving birth. She spent more than a month in a basement shelter in her apartment building in Kharkiv, trying to debate and decide when she should try to leave with her husband, try to get out as you know, her condition worsened, her pregnancy moved further on. You know, that difficult decision to decide to flee when there's near constant bombings outside your window and you can see the shells falling outside and the destruction all around. So a lot of people with some harrowing stories here who are arriving in Lviv. There are still questions, as you mentioned. There are many cities in Ukraine that are still besieged. Kharkiv is encircled, and there are a lot of Russian troops in that area. Chernihiv as well, encircled by Russian troops. And Mariupol, as you said, on the brink of a catastrophe, according to local officials. Some 160,000 people still trying to get out. The issue today is that the Ukrainian government is now saying that they are not going to try to set up humanitarian corridors today, specifically because they do have intelligence, they say, that suggests Russia could be looking for provocation, so perhaps targeting those corridors. So another, day of waiting for a lot of those people trapped in some desperate situations, no food, no water, and just wondering if they'll be able to get out safely, Heather.
The war continues, the humanitarian crisis continues and indeed worsens, and so does the negotiations, Salima. We're hearing that officials from Ukraine and Russia set to meet in another round of talks today in Turkey. What are you hearing there?
That's right. And there's a suggestion from the Ukrainian side that they are happy that those talks will be hosted by Turkey. It's a bit more inviting to them than some previous face-to-face talks. There were some in Belarus, of course, a strong ally of the Russian side. So the Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is welcoming the fact that these talks will be happening, that they will be face-to-face. He did speak with some independent Russian media outlets last night in his native Russian language to get some of his message out. And his point was that there is room for a little bit of compromise, that he is willing to look at the option of Ukraine becoming a neutral space, a neutral country. But he does say any question of that would need to be put to the people of Ukraine, the people who are suffering right now in this war, that there would have to be a referendum on any question of whether Ukraine would become neutral. There are also some things that are not up for discussion, according to Zelensky. The fact that Ukraine would be demilitarized, a demand on the Russian side. He says that's a no-go. But he does say he wants these peace talks. He wants peace with no delay. Take a listen to what else he had to say.
гарантии безопасности и нейтралитет, безъядерный статус нашего государства. Мы готовы на него идти. Это самый главный пункт. Это был первый принципиальный пункт для Российской Федерации, насколько я помню. И насколько мне помнится, что они из-за этого начали войну.
Now, it should be said that there's still not a lot of optimism coming out from either side on the hopes for a breakthrough very quickly. The two sides do seem to be quite far apart. But Russia's foreign minister does say that there could be an opportunity for Russia's President Vladimir Putin to meet face-to-face with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, although he says not now. At this point, it would be counterproductive. Heather?
That is Salima Shivji from Lviv, Ukraine. Now reporting, Salima, and as we are getting word this hour, it appears the peace talks that had been indicated to start today will not be starting until tomorrow. According to the Kremlin, starting today is unlikely because the Russian negotiators are just arriving in Turkey. So that is a change in information, and we'll certainly be bringing you updates as we get further detail on the resumption of talks to bring an end to Russia's war on Ukraine. It is day 33.